And welcome to our Brampton Focus webisode. My name is Michael A. Charbon. Epilepsy is a physical condition characterized by sudden, brief changes in how your brain works. Epilepsy is not a mental illness, and it's not contagious. Epileptic seizures really result from a temporary electrical disturbance in the brain. And each day in Canada, an average of 42 people, what's sad news, 42 people learn that they have epilepsy. Each year, an average of 15,500 Canadians learn that they have epilepsy. And of the patients, majority of them are young children and senior citizens. But approximately 50% of cases of childhood epilepsy seizures disappear completely. So that's really good news. Epilepsy Halton, Peel, and Hamilton is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for people living with seizure disorders, specifically epilepsy, through their counseling and support services. Their values are to encourage everyone to attain positive solutions when challenged. Don't you wish we all would attain positive solutions when challenged? Joining me today are two representatives from the Halton Peel Epilepsy Association. On my far right is the Executive Director, Ms. Cynthia Milburn, and right beside me is Ms. Jasmine Morante, who is the Program Coordinator. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us on Brampton Focus. It's a very important message to get out to people that epilepsy is something of the mind, it's not a disease. And hearing that almost 15,000 people a year get diagnosed with this is quite severe. When we look at your facility or your program and what you do, give our folks at home a little bit of a background. You just received a Trillium grant, so you're able to do so much good work. Tell our folks what's new on the horizon for you.
Right. So Epilepsy Halton Peel Hamilton is the community agency where people come after they've received a diagnosis and a prescription. Mm-hmm. And they come to us for community service. They want us to link them to others of the like so that they can relate and build linkages in the community and build some knowledge for their families. And we were identified that youth is an overlooked group, and we have received a Ontario Trillium grant to run a pilot project, and we received a seed grant for our youth empowerment program.
Now, Trillium is funded partially by the OLG and the Ontario government. So the Ontario Lottery Corporation, all those tickets that you buy and win, let's hope, but a lot of that money goes to the Trillium Foundation. Very important for them to assist you.
It is, and we're very excited to be here today to discuss our youth empowerment program and encourage youth with epilepsy and even siblings of the youth with epilepsy to join our group. So
Jasmine, when we talk about the youth program, you are the spearhead, you're the program coordinator, you're basically the one at the very front of the parade. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and what are some of the exciting things that are coming up for the youth program for epilepsy.
Yeah, so the youth empowerment program, there's a lot of stigma attached to epilepsy, and it leads to anxiety, it leads to depression because of these social barriers and the low self-esteem. And the children and youth with epilepsy, they experience this and they are at risk for not reaching potential. So whether that be academically, financially, socially, emotionally.
But they can get ostracized. People who don't understand it, particularly youth, are so cruel because they haven't necessarily captured the, how should one say, the civility of addressing people who are less fortunate than ourselves. And epilepsy is something that just comes upon someone. It's nothing that they can do. And again, all the preconceived idea, ooh, it's contagious and you're mentally insane. It's got nothing to do with any of that, does it? No,
and a huge part of my job is doing public education.
Right.
So I go to schools, whether that be from JK to grade 8, staff trainings, community presentations. The whole thing is epilepsy awareness, that it's not contagious. It's a neurological condition. They can't control it. Everyone has a brain. Everyone has a chance of developing epilepsy.
That's the electrical pulses,
seizures.
right?
Yeah.
And some of you may have seen, I've seen anyways on television, where they've done experiments where they've gone into the brain and they've stimulated certain portions of the brain through like we have an electrical system through, and that's what's triggering those seizures, right?
Yeah, and what we tell our grade 5 students is pretty much we have millions and millions of neurons in our brain, and it's pretty much just mixed messages, and it results in something called a seizure. And there's 1 in 10 people that will experience a seizure, may never experience it ever again, but 1 in 100 people will develop epilepsy. And through our youth program, we hope to empower them, to give them a brighter future by offering them volunteer opportunities. So whether it be volunteering for our camp, so the picture you see behind me, we have volunteers, our youth, volunteering for these kids ages 5 to 12 who experience epilepsy.
Having fun and being empowered, right?
Yeah. And Cynthia will talk about later about our run coming up where they can volunteer. We'll be providing workshops where they can learn about interview skills, resume building, social skills, life building skills.
All important to be able to get into society.
Yes.
Cynthia, when I look at your values, it says that you want to encourage everyone to attain a positive solution when challenged. So that really is at the forefront of what your objective is, right? And what are some of the tools that you use to attain that?
So when youth volunteer, we make every volunteer commitment a meaningful placement. We also have internship positions as well, and everybody comes away with this meaningful commitment. They learn about fundraising and about others who are like them. They learn to build their self-esteem through being given responsibilities and given opportunities that will allow them to feel like they're important and that they're worthy and that they're capable.
So, Cynthia, I want to talk about your run. I mean, I love purple. You've got the purple bands we see in a lot of your support material.
Yeah.
Tell us when this run is taking place and how people can get involved.
So our run is in October, and you can call the office to get more information about that. And we have almost 100 volunteers will come out and run. We have many opportunities for youth who are still in high school to get their 40 hours of volunteer. Yeah. And they can earn up to 20 hours by participating in our run. They learn about fundraising and about events. And they have a lot of fun.
I do have one question for you, and this is not necessarily a medical question, but if you're in the presence of someone who you believe is having an epileptic seizure, whether they know about it or they don't, what should we do? What should be our role in helping them?
Number 1 is step up. So, because so many people will just turn away thinking that this is some sort of crazy episode. You have to actually attend to the person, take them out of harm's way. If it's an actual convulsive seizure, the key is to protect their head and to time the seizure. And if the seizure is...
To time the seizure. So the duration of the seizure, right?
If the seizure is 5 minutes, 911 call is required. If the seizure is a first-time seizure, or it's the first time you've seen the seizure, you call 911 for assistance.
Are they cognizant enough to answer a question? Are you having can you ask them that? Can they respond?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. What about, should we put them on their sides? You shouldn't necessarily put them on their back because of their tongue, so you should put them on their side and never put your fingers in their mouth.
Right. So we're actually going to roll them on their side, and the reason is because they have excess saliva. There's a chance of vomiting.
It's called the recovery position.
Recovery position. If we leave them on their back, they start choking. So putting them on their side, and it's shallow breathing, right? So putting them on their side allows them to breathe a little bit better.
And step up. That's a real important thing, step up. I want to give you, Cynthia, just a moment here to tell our folks how they can get in contact with you and how they can become involved. And don't forget to step up. That's what we want to say.
That's right. Thank you. We're at ehph.org, and all of our social media is Epilepsy HPH. And we'd be happy to hear from anyone who would like to volunteer with our organization. We have a lot of fun, actually, doing some very serious, worthy, fulfilling work.
An excellent cause and really great people. Cynthia Milburn, Executive Director of Epilepsy Halton and Peel and Hamilton, thank you so much for being with us. And also Jasmine Morante, thank you for coordinating and working with our youth.
Thank you.
You've been watching a webisode for Brampton Focus. If you have an occasion or you have an announcement or you have something that you wish to have brought to the attention of the community of Brampton, please contact us at bramptonfocus.ca. My name is Michael A. Charbon. Thanks very much for watching.